welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to be visiting one of Long Beach's most fabulous neighborhoods, Naples Island. And as our tour guide today, I have local historian Stan Poe. Welcome, Stan.
Thank you, Harvey. Welcome to Naples.
How did you get the title local historian, and what piqued your interest in the history of Naples?
Well, my family came here in the 1870s and to the area, not Naples. But they started Westminster and Bay City, which became Seal Beach. And they had always recreated over here, and I have lived here for some years, and the histories that were being written, articles weren't quite right, and I knew it. So I volunteered to write a book, which I did after some period of research, and I have since then collected everything about Naples. I've been Cultural Heritage Commission for 8 years, and now I'm ex officio forever. And I have a huge collection of Naples photographs and memorabilia and tape recordings of past residents. So that's how I became the Naples historian.
You said there was something unique about your house here. What was it?
Well, there were two building periods, really, in the early days in Naples. Naples was started in 1905 by Henry Huntington, and under the name the Naples Land Company. And in 1905, they built several stylish sort of mission revival houses. And then there was a period when there was no building going on during World War I, and then the project was sold to Sullivan and McGrath, who developed Belmont Shore. And at that time, they bought Naples project also. And then they started building a lot of 1920s style houses here. This house is representative of the 1920s houses. It's Spanish colonial revival, and it was built by the architects who did the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara. This actually is the face of the right-hand side boxes in the facade of the house is the face of the right-hand side boxes in the Arlington Theater. The stage sits down there. There's a box up there and a box down here where the garage doors are, box seats. And these stairs go up and around to the upstairs box. And then this is just a fake facade in the theater. And they used, actually this house was built first, and they used this in the theater in 1930. This was started in 1927.
Let's go in and look at the map you have of Old Naples.
Great, come on in.
Okay, how long have you lived here, Stan?
I've lived here on the island since 1963, and I've lived in this house for over 22 years.
And this is the map over here of old Naples?
Yes, this is the original map in 1905, and it hung in the offices. A.M. and A.C. Parsons were the front men for the project. Because of trust busting at the turn of the century, Huntington couldn't have his fingers in too many pies, so he had front men for these different projects. A.M. and A.C. Parsons were the, as it says, founders and sole agents. This shows the original development of of Naples.
And this is?
This is Naples. This is Long Beach in 1886. Long Beach is here. San Pedro over here. Alamedas Beach Townside in here, since this map was
now that was a John Bixby Land Company?
Right, Jotham. And this is Naples down here and the peninsula going across. This is Belmont Shore. There was a train line down here. You can see the city was crisscrossed with train lines. And in 1905, Huntington approached the Bixbys, and he wanted to buy all the property from Livingston around down Appian Way and over to Seal Beach. And they agreed to sell it to him for $1,500,000, which was a lot of money considering the fact that Belmont Shore was underwater at high tide, and so was what they called East Naples, which is now where the Alamedas Bay Marina is. The Belmont Shore area was originally called West Naples. Then there was Naples, and the center of the island is all that was developed until 1922. And then there was East Naples, which, as I said, was dug out. In 1922, the project was sold to Sullivan and McGrath, who were developers, and they drained Belmont Shore, and they managed to get everything built up over there, and then East Naples was never really developed.
And let's get a plug in for your book. I believe this is your book.
Oh, yes. this is Naples, a pictorial history. And what I didn't mention was that this is my grandmother on the front of on the front fishing out here in the bay in 1905. And the island, or this area, was actually discovered in 1784 by Spanish coming out to try and find a port. And they looked at Long Beach and they said everywhere they stepped or stuck a rod down, oil came out, so it was worthless. So they went over and established the port for hides over in San Pedro. And this book is now out of print, but I'm working on another one which should be out by next summer that's much expanded, because I now have access to all of the Huntington records at the Huntington Library of the project.
Could we take a stroll around Naples and have you point out some of the points of interest?
We sure could, love to.
Love to. Let's go. Boy, there are some beautiful homes down here.
This one is particularly interesting. It was being built in 1933, and when the earthquake occurred, the guy who was building it wanted to sue the city. In fact, he did. He sued the city for the earthquake. And so it sat empty for about 3 years until it was finally finished. And the house has that round turret is a staircase, and the staircase goes down into a wine cellar, which is about 10 feet high. And the interesting thing is that there's a 6-foot water table here in Naples at high tide. So during high tide, 4 feet of that is below water level, but it doesn't leak, I don't think.
I hope not.
I hope not, right. Well, it'll keep the wine cool.
Which way are we going now?
This way, back down toward the water.
All right. Okay, Stan, you said there's something unique about this house across the street that's being remodeled.
Well, this was purportedly the first house in Naples, built in 1905, and everybody remembers the front porch. Now, they're remodeling it. This is something that happens to a lot of the homes down here, unfortunately. The house next door has been remodeled. This is its third remodeling. It was built in the 20s, but you wouldn't know it. This house, though, they're keeping the front intact, and there's a round porch, some porch in the front with the beveled windows, and it's rather a beautiful effect. And they are keeping the front just as it was since 1905.
So it's been here a while. What a joy it must be to live here on the waterfront and enjoy this view every day.
Well, it is. You know, we have small lots down here, but whenever you feel hemmed in, you can just walk to the end of the street and look at the ocean and realize you got a lot of territory around you with nobody on it.
I see across the street, I see Christman's. When I lived on the peninsula many, many years ago, we used to go there many times for dinner.
Right. Well, Christman's has been around since the 20s. The building, not that building, the building behind it. And they had to close down because of Coastal Commission regulations about 25 years ago. Now, the peninsula was developed in 1903. The Southern Pacific Line went down there, the red car, and Huntington built a big pavilion at 62nd that looked like the one in Balboa, which is still there. Ours is washed away in a storm in the 30s. This bay is actually quite deep, and in the 1870s, ships came in to pick up oyster shells from an oyster crushing plant over along the far end of the bay. And when they started developing this area, they brought gondolas and launches over from 62nd Street to show them what a wonderful place this was and entertain them. And we'll go by one of the first houses that was built down here strictly for entertaining.
All right, sounds good to me. Stan, what's unique about this house? This looks like another old one.
Well, this was built in 1906. And it was built really to impress the prospective buyers who would have come across on the gondolas from directly across the way, and they would have seen this house. It was built in 1906. It has both gas lights and electric lights, still has them. It has huge rooms inside and a grand staircase and a double butler's pantry. And people would be taken in here and entertained, and they used the right-hand room to write up sales contracts. And the same leaded glass lights are in it. It's been remodeled on the outside, but it hasn't been touched on the inside. It's really a charming house. And Dr. Bateman and his wife own it. They bought it just after 1955, and they've maintained it ever since. And it has USC hosted the National Teachers Convention in 1910, and it was held, the entertainment part of it was held at this house and the gardens that used to surround it. And this is a real treasure. We're really hoping nothing will happen to this house.
All right, let's move on. Okay, Stan, this house is going to be designated a historical site?
Yes, with the city, and it's the first house in Naples to be designated. It belongs to Dr. Howard and his wife Sandy, and the house is totally intact on the interior, and it's just gorgeous work inside. It's craftsmen inside.
Built in what year?
1905, 1906. It was one of the first 5 houses built. Now this house has an attic, which is unusual, with servants' rooms in it, and it has a small basement, which again is unusual. And this house has remained virtually unchanged except for the tiles in the front stairs.
Looking at it from the front, it looks small, but I assume it's not.
No, it's a good-sized home. There's probably close to 3,000 square feet in it.
Oh, wow. That is a nice size.
And it has built-in buffets with beveled windows and beveled cabinets, and it has a big Batchelder fireplace and a big cascading staircase. And it's just a gorgeous home inside. And the Howards have done a great job in maintaining it.
It's so nice to see people who are preservationists, who take care of their quality homes and preserve them for everyone to enjoy.
Oh, yes. And any of these, there were only 5 houses built in 1905, and as they go, that's the end of the history down here of the architectural history. So it is wonderful that they are having this designated, or
All
we
right.
have designated it.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
Stan, this is where the annual Naples Christmas boat parade goes, isn't it?
Right, through the Rivo Alto Canal. This is the canal that kind of circles the island.
Surprise, surprise. Many years ago, I was Santa Claus in it.
Oh, were you?
Yes. This house across that they're working on seems like it might be of a vintage type.
Yes, it was built in 1906, and it was built by the architect Janss, Janss, who did a lot of the work in Brentwood. This house was built by the Naples Company, and it was called House Number 2, and it was used to salt the area so it would look like there were, you know, wealthy folks building down here. And it was rented out by the company for a number of years until about 1920 for $35 a month.
Oh, wow.
Try that today. It wouldn't even pay your gas bill. But anyway, it's a very interesting house. They've done some remodeling to it, but it's an interesting home, and it's kept the basic bones.
I like the windows.
Yeah, they're very interesting.
Unusual.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, living on the canal wouldn't be too shabby either. It's really quiet down here.
Oh, it really is. I swim the canals every day, and these boats stay pretty much covered up most of the time. People wonder if the canals are clean, and I can promise they are. I've never seen a dead fish or a dead bird in them once.
You mentioned the house, the brown shingled house over there.
That house was built in the 40s, or late 30s. It's a huge looking house. It's actually only 4 rooms. There's 2 rooms downstairs and 2 bedrooms up. The next section of it is for the maids and the garage. But this is probably the most photographed spot in Naples. These canals were, of course, the main feature of the area, and they had gondoliers starting in 1907 to bring people around on the trips. And they had an annual fund of $75 to pay the gondoliers. And but Christmas parade starts through these canals and comes through. The Christmas parade was started in 1946 to raise money to enhance the area. It was actually a caroling event for the churches, and it's evolved into a rather big event, but it's part of the Naples history.
Well, let's get a plug in for the Gondola Getaway. In case anybody wants a romantic evening, this is the place to come on Gondola Getaway.
That's right, and that was about 20 years ago they started Gondola Getaway, and it's been a very successful endeavor, and it's great because it brings back part of the history of Naples. My son is a gondolier for them, and it's really a good thing for the kids to have work down here, and it's a good healthy spot, and people really enjoy it.
And Gondola Getaway, I must mention, they're very generous in giving donations to nonprofit organizations for fundraisers.
Yes, they certainly are, for everything.
Stan, this looks like an unusual house we're looking at.
Yes, this is a very unusual house, especially for Naples, because instead of being in Mission Revival or Spanish Colonial or Italianate, it's a French Normandy style home. It was built in 1929, and it was quite an event covered in the newspapers when it was built. It has the most unexpected interior, which will be allowed to go into the home soon. It belongs to Jean and Anna Elmore, who have enhanced the French Normandy style with some terracing and other work, which you may notice when you see the house. The house is currently for sale. It has only had about 3 owners in its lifetime.
Let's walk over and take a look at it.
Okay.
This already looks unique and unusual.
Oh, it is. It has a very unusual door. It has unusual woodwork. And up here we've got a landing, which is really charming. A little landing to sit and read a book in.
Beautiful leaded windows.
Yes, they're all original. There's a scenic one over here. And it's just a beautiful spot. The floors are all original. They're pegged oak. And the stairs go on up to a number of bedrooms and then to the 3rd floor into the tower, which is a little difficult to get to.
Let's go down inside I believe this is the interior of the tower down here.
Oh yes, this interior, it's a little foyer, extra foyer in here that goes from the dining room on the left to the living room on the right.
This is unique, isn't it? A unique entryway into the parlor.
And here we have the dining room. The arches are original, and the leaded glass windows, and so are the bars and the windows, as a matter of fact. The current owners had the house faux painted, and
it really goes well with the design of the house, though, don't you
yes,
think?
it does. Now, they have had in here, when we walk into the living room, I'll have to explain a really unique party that they had that I was invited to, in which they had hired the largest of the gondolas, and they had the people who put on the Renaissance Pleasure Fair come in costume, and all of the participants at the party were in costume. And they held it in this house, which is of the period of the pleasure fair, the design.
Beautiful gates leading into the front room, isn't it?
Yes, these are original, and so is this seat, which has carved corbels underneath it.
Oh, isn't this magnificent? Look at the ceiling.
The ceiling is original. The polychromed beams are original, and the chandelier is original. The fireplace was made in France. It was ordered by the last owner and brought over and installed. I think it's French limestone. And it's just a wonderful space. And of course it looks out onto the canal and a terrace in the front and to the patio in the back.
Oh, this is just really, really nice.
Yes.
I like the shuttered windows too, wooden shutters.
Yes. Yes.
And I see the painting. I assume that they had an artist.
They had the person who did the Madison in downtown Long Beach do the painting in here.
Oh.
And there's paintings. Oh no, there's an interesting piece up there. They had the paintings on the tower ceiling are of angels or cherubs.
I wonder if they'd take my American Express card. You said it's for sale.
Oh, it is for sale. I'm sure they would, Harvey. They might take it, but they might take you too.
This is just a wonderful home. Thanks for bringing us in.
Yes.
Okay, don't go away. We'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
What makes Paulie's different?
Well, first of all, his coffee is fresh roasted 1,000 miles from Seattle, so we like to have coffee that's fresher and tastes better.
We carry about 70 varieties of coffee. But the thing that I believe makes Paulie's special is the people who work at Paulie's. We're a neighborhood store. We're your family store. We know you, you know us. We'll take care of you.
We were voted the #1 coffee house in Long Beach in the recent Press Telegram poll.
Paulie's Gourmet Coffee. Doesn't get any better than this.
Charter Pipeline is your ticket to high-speed internet access. Surf the internet, use your telephone, watch TV, all at the same time. Use your existing cable lines to download email, large files, or pictures in a flash. It's always on, so there's no time wasted like with dial-up. Come to our office and get the Charter Pipeline self-install kit and save on installation. When added to your existing digital package, prices can start as low as $20 monthly. For information, call 1-866-499-8080.
Dad!
Are we there yet?
Knock it off.
As you sit in traffic, you see a plane heading in your direction. Would you like to fly over all that traffic?
The Flight Pros can make it happen. From pilot training to plane rentals. Call now for a no-obligation introductory flight lesson for only $49 and see if flying is for you.
Who do I see about getting a plane?
Call 562-490-2662 today.
Welcome to the El Dorado Park Golf Course, where golf pros like me hang out. I can never count on my putting, but I can always rely on El Dorado's Eagle Specials. $2.95 breakfast, $4.95 lunches, and $6.95 dinners. Even if you're not a pro, you can enjoy great service at even better prices. The El Dorado Park Golf Course Restaurant and Pub.
Okay, now give me a point of reference here, Stan.
Okay, originally this came in from the bay. This was the main Colonnade Canal. It came into the end, this was all water, it came into the end where the fountain is now, and on the left-hand side was a huge Victorian hotel called the Hotel de Napoli that was built by Myra Hershey, who was a philanthropist from LA. She built the Hollywood Hotel also, and it was in the same style.
Related to the Hershey family?
Related, but she didn't have her finger in any chocolates. Okay. But anyway, this is the same width as it was. The boats would come across here. This grassy area had foundations built for a Palace of the Doges that was going to become a restaurant that was never built. And the boats would come past through the foundations. It was going to be bridged over. In 1921, they decided to fill this in. And I've seen the orders for it. We had always heard that it was just filled with fill because it was a backwater. It turns out that in 1921, the orders from Huntington's company was to use the movie sets that lined both sides of the canals. Now, we had no idea that the movie was built down here, but it said they just were to push the canal, push the sets into the water, and then they would fill it up with whatever rubble they needed, and Huntington would pay for that.
Wonder if that had anything to do with Balboa Studios.
Well, it probably did. It probably was a Balboa Studios project. I just can't find it in the records in the book that was published about it. But this was, for years, as I said, the main entrance, and the hotel was on the left-hand side. At one time, there was a big column in the middle where the fountain is now, and it was the smoke event stack for the Hotel de Napoli. And the Hotel de Napoli never actually opened as a hotel. It had a big restaurant on the first floor. It was used for entertaining and getting people to purchase lots. They'd have a band out here. I've seen bills for the little band that would come on a little, they called it a dinky line that came from the trolley line down Ravenna. And
when was it torn down?
It was torn down in the early 60s, early 59 maybe. But it was purchased in 1929 and remodeled, and then of course the stock market crash came and it never reopened as a hotel. It may have been open 6 months, if that.
What was it used for?
Just an investment by Ms. Hershey. And it was used, the first floor was used for entertainment. The Naples Improvement Association started in 1926 and was, we used to meet in there and have their dinners. Now we have them at the Yacht Club.
Now, Stan, I have to ask you a question. Every year when I come down here and I look at the beautiful light displays on all these beautiful homes, I always get lost. Is there a way that I can find my way out of the maze without calling 911?
Well, if you think of the fountain down here as the center of a hub, or the center of a compass, the Toledo runs in from the north side, runs across, and it comes out on the island out to 2nd Street on both sides. And the street we're on continues to Ravenna, and it goes over to 2nd Street. And that's about it, because everything else turns and twists to kind of conform to the canal, and sometimes just for no reason at all. And as I said, the Naples Improvement Association was started, and people say, when they see all the beautiful homes, they say, well, what do you need to improve about Naples? The problem is that we need to, right now we're rebuilding the seawalls, which my wife's in charge of, and several of the engineers have given thousands of hours of work down here.
Weren't the bridges replaced recently?
The bridges were replaced in the 70s. And it is an area that needs work because we are at 6 feet over the water level. But originally, the Naples Improvement Association was started because they were trying to get the school built. They were trying, which was built in 1925 actually, but they were trying to get more services for the area down here.
Go ahead.
Oh, and that maybe we could go down and take a look at the.
You want to walk down and look at the fountain?
At the fountain just for a moment.
All right,
and
let's
that
go.
would be a good ending because people always use that as a focal point.
All right. Stan, the little house there on the corner looks unusual.
That's really a unique house. It was a World War II barracks, service barracks for the men to sleep in. And it was plopped down over here, and it has a really prominent corner, and it's really been made adorable. But that's what it started out life was as a barracks. It's probably the humblest of beginnings of any of the homes down here.
And it probably is not very large.
Probably not. What you see is what you get.
And this is the Naples Fountain.
Yes, this is La Bella Fontana di Napoli.
Ah.
And it is sort of the center of the hub for Naples. A lot of activities develop around here.
Is that soap suds in there?
Those are soap suds, and every year the kids put soap suds in for different occasions, and you consider it a good soaping if the suds make it across 2nd Street. But this is the spot. At night it's lit up, and this is during the day you see nannies bringing children down here, and mothers too. And it's just the center of the area. And the original hotel was over here to the left where the apartments are. And this is one spot. If you visit Naples, start here, and you can fan out in all directions. Just remember where you came from.
Well, I'll keep it in mind. And Stan, I want to thank you for the great tour of Naples. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm glad you came down, Harvey.
And join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.